brought that up because I saw 60 Minutes this past Sunday, and they were doing a special on the Greek Freak, and I had no idea who he was. I mean, yes, I mean I've always heard about him and everything, but never in detail. You can only read on what's said on Wikipedia, but when you see his life story and his family's from Nigeria, they moved to Greece, and really, they were in bad shape in Greece. They were really poor, and then he had a talent for basketball, and now he's changing the game. I think he's a center, right?
He's like a forward. I would say that I compare him. I would say he's a lot like LeBron James in the sense that he really is kind of positionless. He's just a really big, strong guy, athletic guy, can jump out of the gym. He can shoot the ball. He's just stronger and more athletic than everybody else on the court. He's a tough matchup, and the Bucks are lucky enough to have him because that's the type of player that, will never come to Milwaukee in free agency, so they got to find a way to build a good team around him because when time comes, he's looking at a lot of money from a lot of different places, and small markets have a hard time keeping their stars, especially in the NBA.
And watching that piece from 60 Minutes about the Greek Freak, he sounds like he wants to stay and he wants to try to stay. But you're right. I mean, if you're in a mid-sized town and you have to build really fast. You got to bring in players just to make you stay. Milwaukee is not an attractive city. It's a small town compared to other NBA cities. It might be the smallest city in the NBA, I think.
It very well could be. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, because Oklahoma City might be up there with them, or maybe Sacramento, but.
Yeah, Sacramento might be the smallest.
Anyways.
You're talking about Oklahoma City. Look at the players they drafted even in the last 10 years. Westbrook, Durant.
Yeah.
James Harden. Jeff Green. These are all players who came out and were successful right off the bat. Serge Ibaka, that had great, careers and promise. Who's left on the roster right now? Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook, and you bring in Melo and PG.
They brought in those players, but those are players, obviously, they got Paul George to come on a one-year basis, 1 year left in his deal when they traded for him. Carmelo, he's kind of on the downside of his career. You have a hard time bringing players in your mid-major city in their prime, and you have a hard time keeping them. You have to draft well, build quick, and hope the players stay. I'd love to see Westbrook stay, and I think he will stay for a long term. Is Paul George going to stay? If you had to put a gun to my head, I'd say no. I think he's going to LA. I'm not going to say LeBron is, but I think Paul George is more likely to go to LA than LeBron, but I'm not ruling out LeBron either. It's going to be interesting because I really think the Lakers have got something really good going on. They can track one or two free agents here.
Yeah, a really interesting situation. But like I said, there was also rumors of him going to Golden State, so I don't believe anything now. Here's what the Eastern.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what the Eastern Conference standings look like. Starting with number 1, Raptors, Celtics, Cavaliers, 76ers, the Indiana Pacers, Washington Wizards, the Bucks, and the Heat. And the Pistons are at 9th, with a couple of games behind them. How do you see the seeding?
I think the way you said it is, they might mix around a little bit, but those are the 8 teams that are going to be participating. The Pistons have fallen way down. Are they in it mathematically? Yes, but are they really in it? No. Those are going to be the 8 teams participating. The Raptors and Celtics are going to be 1-2. I don't think the Cavaliers are going to be able to catch them unless they get really hot. But, it all depends on who's playing in the end of the year, who's resting. But, it's going to be big, the jostling, because obviously the playoffs are all about matchups. Because, some teams match up better with others, even if they have a better record, So where the teams end up is going to be extremely important. I just think the way they are right now is going to be the way they kind of end up.
You think whoever the Raptors face, whoever the Raptors face will probably roll over anyone?
Yeah, if we're talking the Raptors, they're just in a different place right now. The Raptors are, a well put together team. They're built for the long term. Is it going to be a sweep? Probably not, but I don't see the Heat winning more than 1 or 2 games. The Heat are still kind of, trying to put their roster together. They've battled injuries all year. The Heat are just kind of happy to be there, while the Raptors are hoping to make the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I know there's talk down here in Miami that they don't want to be in the 8th spot. They don't want to face Toronto. They want Boston or they want Cleveland. They have a better chance with those two teams than facing Toronto.
Yeah, the 8th spot's weird, especially when you got a good number 1 spot, because you're out of the lottery for the draft. So you're not going to get a high draft pick. And you're probably not going to win the NBA championship. It's just debate, is it playoffs better, or is it better to kind of tank at the end of the year and not make the playoffs and hopefully get a good lottery draft pick? But I'm not, as a competitor, you always want to win games, and if you're in the playoffs, you never know what's going to happen. So,
in the Western Conference, the first spot goes to Rockets, then the Warriors, the Blazers, Oklahoma City, the Pelicans, Spurs, Jazz, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. How do you see the West?
The West is a little bit different in the sense that you got the Rockets and Warriors are in a class of themselves, but 3, and I would say through 10, are only separated. You tell me if you're looking at the
Yeah, Nuggets are 9th and Clippers are 10th. And Nuggets are behind 2 games, and the Clippers are behind 2 games. So it's a 2-game gap between 8th and 10th.
But if you look from 10th to where the Blazers are, there's not a huge difference in amount of wins. Yeah, so obviously the top half of the playoffs teams in those are going to make the playoffs, but there's going to be a lot of jockeying around in the last week, 2 weeks left in this regular season. The Jazz are playing really good basketball. They've traded a lot of the players, it's kind of contrary to what you believe after the trade deadline, but they're playing extremely great basketball since the All-Star break. And I don't force, if I see any team get hot, the Nuggets are probably more apt to get hotter than the Clippers. The Clippers, again, another team that traded a lot of assets at the trade deadline. But, they're in a little bit more of a rebuilding phase. Well, I think the Nuggets got a pretty good roster. If they can get in, they could definitely give the Rockets or Warriors a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, the Nugs I've been hearing good things about them. But yeah, you're right. It's pretty hefty lower table situation here. So anyone could be, coming up. I would say for sure the Lakers and the Kings are not going to make it. But Clippers.
No, it's a 10-team race here. There's a little more intrigue to see who makes the playoffs in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. But there's a lot of jockeying around in both conferences in regards to seeding and home court advantage.
I was telling someone else that this might not be we might not see the Cavs or the Warriors in the finals this year.
It's still hard to see neither of those teams making it. And the playoffs, are about stars. The regular seasons, it's a long grind. You're not going to play your best every day. But in the playoffs, in the 7-game series, usually the cream rises to the top. And that's why you don't see a lot of upsets in the NBA playoffs.
There you go. The stats.
I really do, I really hope the Rockets can challenge the Warriors.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see, especially, with Steph Curry's injury, how long is he going to be out for?
That looks pretty serious. It's second degree.
Yeah. The basic prognosis of that is 3 weeks, and then they're going to reevaluate, and then it could be another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Being the playoffs, obviously they're going to probably take a little bit more of a chance in putting him out there if he's not 100%. But, this is not going to be a completely 100% healthy Warriors team. They're more apt to get upset, and as long as the Rockets can stay healthy, I really do think they can push them to 6-7 games if they both make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
But that being said, I could also see the Rockets getting upset by somebody else in the playoffs too. The Trailblazers,
Minnesota.
You got a Spurs team in Minnesota. You got a lot of. There's a lot of good teams now in the Western Conference that on any given, night can beat anybody. Are they good enough to win the Western Conference? No. But they're good enough to compete against, everybody for a series and push them to the limits.
Who's your dark horse in the West?
I got to go to the Trailblazers. You got 2 superstars. Like I said, superstars win in the playoffs.
Yep. And they're healthy.
They're healthy. They're playing well. I just, my only thing is they're a high jump shooting team. They don't have a huge inside presence right now. So, it's hard, when you get to the end of the season, the playoffs, do you have enough legs, strengthen your legs to hit those jump shots for a whole postseason?
Yeah, and the East as well. I mean, like the Celtics, I know Kyrie is banged up a little bit, so it's a weekend in Boston.
He'll be fine for the playoffs, yeah. He'll be all right.
He'll be more healthier than Steph.
I'm not gonna pick it. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Who's your dark horse in the East?
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's hard to say. It's hard to call him a dark horse, but, whether it's going to be the highest season. Philadelphia, is a unique team. They're a team that's happy to make it to the playoffs. This is a franchise that's gone through some horrible seasons to get to this point.
Weren't they dead last year?
Great draft picks. They weren't dead last. They were in the bottom half. They're the bottom couple. This is a franchise that's had to, been in the lottery for 6-7 straight years, to get to this point where they've got a great roster of young talent, mixed in with some key veterans like J.J. Redick and Robert Covington. The future is definitely bright for this. You got 2 mega superstars in the works, and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. We don't know anything about Markelle Fultz. He's been injured most of the year. He just came back.
Yeah.
But, they've whipped on some draft picks, which you really look for in New Orleans and Noel, but they've had some home runs here, too.
I mean, I've been hearing 76ers, Pacers, Wizards, and Bucks, and the Heat are pretty much more of the same. They're kind of bunch. It could be either or.
Yeah, but if I can pick it out, the Sixers may win a series, may win. They've been the best team in the Eastern Conference at Christmas time. But if there's one team that challenges the Cavaliers, and that's the Raptors.
Yeah, Raptors look unstoppable, in my opinion.
They're changing. They used to be a kind of a half court, slow it down, get the ball, the DeRozan and Lowry and isolation and let them go. But, with the way the NBA is changing to be more extremely up-tempo, free-throwing, lots of three-pointers, Dwayne Casey's kind of scrapped the way he's always coached and known how to coach two more sharing the ball. Whoever's open, run to the corner, shoot a lot more 3-pointers. And the Raptors, even though they've had great record the last couple of years, they're just a different team playing at a different level.
Exactly. So your East dark horse is?
Well, I'll give you the Sixers. I'm going to just say the Sixers, but I don't think they're challenging for the championship. I'm going to say my top two teams are the Cavaliers and Raptors.
I like that. It's funny because I convinced you for the Sixers. I just brought them up, but I've been seeing them on SportsCenter a lot, so they're just like, oh yeah, they're a good team. They're a good team, but
they're we'll be talking 365 days from now, and I think we're going to talk about a team that's ready to compete for at least an Eastern Conference championship.
At least that.
But one step at a time.
Switching over to
you got to think about when teams are building. When your teams are building, we think about when we were talking about the Thunder. When they were put together, 7-8 years ago, they would take one step at a time. They win a series, win the next series, get to the Western Conference Finals. Eventually, they got to the NBA Finals against the Heat. Would end up losing, but they got to that point. But they got injuries after that, and then obviously the team, they went in separate directions. I think you're going to see a lot of that from the 76ers. They're going to win a series. They're going to win two series. 1 year at a time.
Switching over to March Madness, two of my predictions came through. Loyola, Illinois beating Kansas State 78-62, and Kansas beating 85 to Duke 81.
Yeah, what the great thing about March Madness is that you've got 4 16-team tournaments now that are over with. And now you got the championship here at the Final Four. And each bracket has got a different feel to it. And we got the South, which was full of upsets. From day one where UMBC beat Virginia. And then you got this team, was kind of this team that, the experts were talking about. You got to watch out for. And they haven't disappointed, have they, Santiago? For Chicago, just a well-coached team, no superstars. They have the big shots. They just play fundamentally sound. That's why they've been able to upset, the Miami, Tennessee, Nevada, and now Kansas State. But this whole region has just been full of upsets. You had Kansas State beating Kentucky before losing to Loyola. You had Buffalo beating Arizona. It doesn't go the way the experts thought. And then you got the Michigan bracket, which is, your traditional March Madness bracket where, Michigan kind of one of the upper seeds won, but they were still kind of full of upsets. So you got Florida State coming as a 9th seed all the way to the regional finals where they were able to beat Xavier, then Gonzaga. And then you got drama with, Michigan was one, almost half-court 3-point shot from not even being here and losing to Houston. That's just March Madness drama. And then you've got more Villanova in the East where they were just the superior team. And as the number 1 seed, they kind of showed why they were number 1 seed. And it's kind of just, they were never ever really tested, a little bit by West Virginia. But when they turned it on and they're down by 6, with 12, 13 minutes ago, they ended up scoring 16 straight points and that game was over. This team, when they turn it on, they're really tough to beat because they just share the ball well, they play within their system, and they don't miss open shots. And then we go down to the Midwest, where you ended up with Duke and Kansas, the number 1 and 2 seeds, and played kind of one of those classic blue-blooded games where, they kept on trading punches against each other in a game, where most people said, why did it have to end? 2 great teams playing against each other, superstars playing well. Just a perfect regional final March Madness game. And this is we got 4 teams with 4 different stories, and that's what makes Final Four weekend so great.
Yeah, the Duke Kansas game was probably the best game of the Elite Eight. It went to overtime, and I mean it could have been anyone. I thought Duke was going to win it towards the end, but then Kansas just came back and they just strived through it.
Clutch shots, yeah. You know, if you look at talent-wise, Duke has a lot more talent, but you know they're young and inexperienced, and Kansas is whether while they might not have as much talent as Duke does, but they got experience. They've been in those type of situations, and that showed.
And Loyola has not lost since January 31st.
Great team, I don't foresee them winning the national championship, but I do foresee them beating Michigan.
Wow. You just made that prediction. You're saying Loyola's going to the final.
They're going to the final against the Villanova Wildcats.
You called it. I picked Loyola, of course. Everyone's saying Villanova's going to win. It's going to beat Kansas. Kansas has no shot. I'm going for Kansas.
I don't know if they have no shot, but, I've just seen too much consistency out of Villanova. It's hard for me to believe that they're not going to play their A game. If they play their A game, there's no one in this tournament that can beat them. They're just that good as a team. But that saying, Kansas is a good enough team to make them not play an A game. So I'm still going to Villanova, and I think Villanova wins a close game against Kansas. And then I think they're going to flex their muscles against either Loyola or Michigan in the finals. I think they win by double digits next Monday night.
I think I'm kind of tilting towards whoever wins the Villanova-Kansas will win the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. They're going to be the favorite no matter what.
And switch. Okay, so that's our March Madness segment. Really good March Madness. No one's predicted a perfect bracket ever in history of mankind. NFL, Ndamukong Suh is going to the LA Rams.
They have quite that front line now, as arguably two of the best, defensive linemen in Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. Two players that especially don't have the greatest history of giving their A effort every play, but if they do, this could be, especially the other free agents they run, and this could be one of the record-setting defenses. They've got the talent to be, that's for sure.
I'm hearing Brock. I was gonna say Brock the Rock, but Brock from the Denver Broncos is going to sign with the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, Osweiler.
Yeah, I think it's a good signing. I think he's doing a good thing. They got a lot of hopes, hopefully, in Ryan Tannehill still. So
I'm not a fan. It feels like another Jay Cutler signing.
It's you gotta look. They're coming in to be the starter. He's coming in to be the backup.
Yeah.
If he comes into that mindset, and works hard, and helps Ryan Tannehill become a better quarterback, then this is a good signing. I don't think they're selling him on the opportunity to be the starter. So, but the Dolphins need Adam Gates needs to start turning this offense around. They've made a lot of moves here to get rid of quote unquote bad apples in the past. Trading Jay last year and Jarvis Landry. You're really hoping this franchise kind of turns the corner now, or this could be Adam Gates' last year.
Ooh, I would not disagree on that. I think he has to turn it around. But then they say, Ross is not much of a football guy, so he'll just probably keep him.
Yeah, he wants a winner though. He wants that. At the end of the day, whether owners are football guys or not, they're looking in their pocketbook. If it's not filled because they're not filling up that stadium, or people aren't buying advertisement, then change is going to happen.
As of today, how do you see the draft picks going? Are you going, for like the top five? I mean, for the top 3 or 4, do you think it's going all quarterbacks?
Well, the Browns, I think, all signs are pointing to picking a quarterback. And number one, the Giants, with trading Jason Pierre-Paul, I really think they're kind of eyeing this, making room for Bradley Chubb out of NC State, a great pass rusher. The Jets are going to pick a quarterback at number 3. And number 4, back to the Browns. If Saquon Barkley is there, I think the Browns take him. And I think the Broncos, if they don't pick a quarterback, they will pick the Nelson from Notre Dame as an offensive lineman.
I'm hearing something with Baker Mayfield going to Denver. Is that something you've been hearing?
I haven't heard it, but, they just picked up Case Keenum. They drafted Paxton Lynch 2 years ago. The team's got a lot of holes, and I just hate to, if you got a 5th draft pick, I hate to see that using that pick on a developmental player. If they want to pick a quarterback in the 2nd round that they really like, I want them to do that. Yeah. I just don't want to use a 5th pick. This team has got a great defense. If we put a good offensive line together with Case Keenum, I think this team is playoff bound. But if you use this 5th pick, because we had a bad year last year, and we get the 5th pick for a reason, and we already filled the hole we needed with a quarterback. If you believe in Case Keenum, at least for 1 or 2 years, then let's build that offensive lineup.
Yeah, I think the Broncos have a lot going on. I heard Simeon is visiting other teams. I was hoping Simeon might be the future.
Well, Simeon already got traded to the Vikings.
Oh, wow. So there you go. I kind of wish they were loyal to Simeon, stick with him. He's young, but after 2 seasons, it just wasn't enough.
Here's the thing with Simeon. They drafted him in the 7th round. If you know much about in the 7th round, you're drafting it just to kind of fill up your roster. These players usually don't even make the team their rookie year. So the fact that he made the team, he backed up Peyton Manning his rookie year, learned a lot, and beat out Mark Sanchez and Paxton Lynch the last 2 years in training camp. But it wasn't more or less Simeon. It was more of a issue around him and not a great offensive line, and they just needed a change of pace, and kind of a fresh start for this franchise.
Yeah, and you got Paxton Lynch, so we'll see. I think Baker Mayfield is
Let me tell you one thing to watch out for in the Broncos quarterback race this year, and that is another 7th rounder they picked last year, and his name is Chad Kelly out of Ole Miss. He tore his ACL his senior season. He is a nephew of Buffalo Bills great Jim Kelly. Great arm. Probably would have been, 3rd or 4th round pick last year if he didn't hurt his knee. Got some questionable things on the off field. But I really do like this kid, and I think he will be our 13 quarterback this year. But I would not even be surprised if he beats out Paxton Lynch and we dump Paxton Lynch for him being our 2nd-string quarterback.
Paxton Lynch, apparently he was going to be the future of any team, but he's not living up to it.
No, if you watch him play, he's just not. It's hard to picture him improving enough to be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Well, that's it for NFL news for now. The draft is next month. Things are burning up. Things are, steaming. There's rumors. No one knows till draft night. See what happens. And you always got to have your plan A, but also your plan B.
Some space. You're going to see a lot of people working out for teams. You're going to see a lot of smoke with teams trying to convince other teams that they're going to pick them. This next month, there's going to be a lot of news, a lot of rumors, and very little is going to be true.
How serious is this Johnny Manziel stunt going to be?
Oh, he wants to get back in the NFL, that's for sure. And, he volunteered to throw to the receivers at small college, University of San Diego, and now Texas A&M is bringing him in to throw to their receivers on their pro day. So it's, I don't think any NFL team is going to take a chance on them. Too much of a risk for too little of a reward.
Well, there you have it, Ryan. We covered all sports except hockey and soccer, but that's not on the radar sheet right now. And baseball opening, I think it's coming up, opening day.
Yeah, this week. Yeah.
This week,
couple of days. Yeah,
couple of days.
Traditional
So
opening day to be next. Always the NCAA championship Monday is always opening day for baseball.
ooh, I did not know that. That's the first time. And you listen here first on the Sportscast. To end this show, I'd like to remember Wayne Huizenga, former Dolphins owner and Panthers and Marlins. He was a great man. And what do you remember most about him?
Just kind of being a stabilizing owner especially for the Dolphins. Had a lot of great years under his leadership. You heard enough of him to know that he was the owner, but not enough to know that he was a distraction. Kind of a guy other NFL owners, could look at to show a way to lead an organization in business.
Yeah, he won 2 World Series, but was not able to win a Super Bowl.
But it's just, not because of his lack of leadership, just the way it kind of ended up being.
Yeah, it's just, why did Dan Marino didn't win the Super Bowl? It's just a lot of different variables and your team and then other opponents. But, well, there you have it. Thanks, Ryan, for coming on to the Sportscast.
No problem, Santiago. Love you, Mindy, and Clee. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.